Hey everybody, I'm here to talk about some addition word problems today in our Eureka book. So I'm in the Eureka Module 1 and 2 book, and I'm going to be on page 83. I'm looking at problem number 2 on page 83. It's kind of hard to see it in this video, to see the word problem. I'm going to make my work larger so you can see, but you definitely are going to need to have your book to be able to follow along. The word problem says the office supply closet had 25,473 large paper clips, 13,648 medium paper clips, and 15,306 small paper clips. How many paper clips were in the closet? You can see I've already started to attack the word problem, so I've underlined the question, and the question is making my brain say that I need to add these different sizes of paper clips. So I circled the number for each of the sizes, and I've started to draw my tape diagram to show this word problem in a picture. So because there are 3 different sizes of paper clips, and they're asking me how many there are in total, how many all of them are in the closet, I drew my tape diagram, which is really just a long, thin rectangle, looks a lot like a piece of tape, and I'm going to divide that into 3 sections because I'm talking about the 3 sizes. They've already given me the numbers that go into each of these parts of the tape diagram. So if this was the large, the medium, and the small paper clips, I would just fill in the numbers. The unknown is how many there are altogether. So that's how you will label your tape diagram. So go ahead in your book and make sure your book looks like mine. There we go. So now we've labeled our tape diagram, and we know that we're solving for the unknown, and that is the total number of paper clips in the closet. Because I'm adding 3 large digits together, I've asked you to chunk your work. So by chunking your work, we're going to start with just 2. So we're going to start by stacking up these first 2 numbers, and we're going to add these. That makes it a little bit easier. Once I've added these and I get an answer, I'm then going to add the third portion. If you can stack all 3 on top if you want to, but I'm going to tell you there's more room to make mistakes if you do it that way. If you do choose to stack all 3 at once, then make sure you check it by doing it this way as well. Okay, so 8 plus 3 is 11. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 6 is 11. 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 3 is 9, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So for the first 2 together, the large and medium paper clips, I came out with 39,121. Now I'm going to add that to this next number, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it right underneath. I'm going to add that. Okay, so now I have 1 plus 6 is 7. Bring down my 2. 1 plus 3 is 4. 9 plus 5 is 14. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Okay, so now for a total for all 3 of the numbers added together, I got 54,427. Okay, so this has now been solved, so I can put this up here. Turn that into a into a 2, and then I'm going to write my answer because we're read, draw, write. Okay, so there were 54,427 paper clips in the closet. Okay, so that's how you should have answered the problem on page 83. Now we're going to turn over and we're going to look at page 89. So if you could just turn in your book to page 89. Okay, and the problem is an entire page long, and you can see that they have one problem for number 1, and then they've kind of asked a couple different questions about it. So let's just start at the top. Estimate and solve each problem. Model the problem with a tape diagram. Explain if your answer is reasonable. Okay, number 1. For the bake sale, Connie baked 144 cookies. Esther baked 49 more cookies than Connie. Okay, so we're just talking about a bake sale here. Part A says, about how many cookies did Connie and Esther bake? Estimate by rounding each number to the nearest 10 before adding. Okay, so here's the magic word. I see the word about, and that makes my brain go ding ding, I need to round. Of course, then they tell us over here, round each number to the nearest 10. So I'm going to go ahead and underline that, and it says before adding. So they've given me really all the directions here. So they want me to round each number to the nearest 10. So I'm going to take down, I'm going to do C for Connie. And again, I'm going to do my tape diagram first. So I have C for Connie and I have E for Esther over here. So what we're doing is we're trying to figure out how many cookies they both have baked. So this is the tape diagram that we're working with. But in order to do the first section, they want us to round. So here we go. Connie had 144 cookies. They want us to round to the nearest tens place. So I go ahead and underline it. I'm going to circle the number that we're rounding to and draw my fish hook. When I look next door, it's a 4. The 4 tells me that I leave the number that we're rounding alone. Everything in front stays the same. Everything in back becomes a 0. So Connie baked about 140 cookies. That's Connie. Now I'm going to do Esther. She had 49. I'm rounding to the nearest tens place. So I'm going to circle the number in the tens place, draw my fish hook. That is a 9, so that means I'm going to add one more to the rounded number, and that's going to become a 5. Everything in front stays the same, but there isn't anything. Everything in back becomes a 0. So Esther baked about 50 cookies. It says about how many did they bake all together, so I have rounded my numbers, and since I have to add the two together, I have 140 rounded, and then I have 50 rounded, so now I just need to stack them up and add them. So they baked about 190 cookies. So that is with rounding, the first part of the question. The second part says exactly how many cookies did Connie and Esther bake. So now we're not rounding, we're making our tape diagram with the exact numbers in it. So it's going to be Connie had 144. And again, you might want to circle those numbers just to help them stand out. And Esther baked 49, so C for Connie, E for Esther. We're solving for the unknown at the top, like that. So I'm just going to stack those two numbers up, 144 and 49. Okay, so that's 13. 4 plus 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Bring down my 1. Okay, so I'm going to say, we could say they baked exactly 193 cookies. Okay, so the difference between our two answers is that word right there, about. Okay. All right, the last part of the question says, is your answer reasonable? Compare your estimate from A to your answer from B. Write a sentence to explain your reasoning. So I'm going to look at my final answer. The exact answer is 193 cookies. And do I think that's reasonable? Yes, I think that's reasonable because when I rounded, it ended up being 190 cookies. And that is very close to 193. And so I'm comfortable that this is the correct answer. So sometimes when people solve word problems, they estimate, they kind of do this part in their brain a little bit so that they know when they do their math work here, that they know that their answer should be close to what they exactly get. So if you had done this part out and then you got like 3,193, then you would say, whoa, I must have done something wrong. And you would go back and take a closer look at the problem. So that's how estimating or rounding the answer to problems in your head can be really helpful. You can, of course, always just jot this stuff down when you're doing word problems as well. But this is how you figure out if a question is correct or not. So I'm going to say yes, my answer is reasonable, and it is because it is reasonable because my exact answer is very close. Answer is very close to my estimated or rounded answer. And there we go. So this was page 89. So I hope that your page looks very similar to mine after you completed yours. Thanks so much. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.